April 2025. A group gathers on the Danube at the border between Croatia and Serbia to celebrate the 10th anniversary of a fantasy state called Liberland. The country's streets are even visible on Google Maps.
When you enter Liberland, here you can see everywhere, this is the Liberty Street, the one that is the main road to Liberland. It actually starts in Croatia, as you can see.
Liberland is a 7-square-kilometer patch of marshland on the banks of the Danube and includes a river island that Liberlanders have simply annexed. It is not internationally recognized. Samuela Davidova is one of the true believers in Liberland. She's heading to a crypto congress in Dubai to seek out financial backers for this libertarian utopia of a tax-free state.
I admit that Dubai is one of our hotspots. There are a lot of people who are sharing our vision and our values. In one of those buildings, our citizen has a flat, and you can see that Liberlanders are all over the place.
Dubai was once a fishing village. Today it attracts investors from all over the world. Liberland, say its supporters, has similar potential. It even offers passports.
This is my Liberland passport. Yeah. This is me.
Libertarian movements are on the rise. They're creating private cities and micronations, inspired by special economic zones like Dubai, with minimal regulation, highly attractive for corporations and startups eager to avoid taxes wherever possible. But Liberlanders are convinced they can bring freedom and prosperity to their followers. Samuela is 29 and constantly on the move. She has degrees in media studies and IT management. She's been traveling as an influencer on behalf of Liberland for almost 3 years. She's come to Dubai for Token Week, a global event for digital technologies and assets. The blockchain community gathers in Uptown Tower to discuss cryptocurrencies and new state models. Samuela meets her boss, Vit Jedlička, the president of Liberland.
Happy to see you.
I'm quite excited to be here and make new contacts in this ecosystem, which is growing and growing. You know, this is a real true financial revolution that is happening, and it's really bringing a lot of efficiency, replacing banks, insurance companies, and hopefully also some redundant bureaucrats.
Vit Jedlička was invited to Dubai to present the nation he founded. He has ambitious plans for the 7-square-kilometer territory for government, infrastructure, and settlement. He didn't buy the land. He considers it a no-man's land because its affiliation hasn't been resolved since Yugoslavia broke up. Liberland is not recognized under international law. Not a problem for Jedlička. He believes states exist mainly in people's minds.
All countries are imaginary, right? Like it's nothing else but a belief system of people forming the state. It's their state of mind. And I hope to see you in Liberland soon.
His talk resonates with the audience. Liberland promises minimal bureaucracy, maximum freedom. Taxes are voluntary. The administration is digital and decentralized. Even citizenship exists primarily online as part of Liberland's digital platform. What are the requirements?
You cannot be a communist.
Liberland strikes a chord, as many people are dissatisfied with their governments.
We're always looking for a better place to reside to, because as we all know, the UK is very difficult right now to live with high taxes and and the cost of living is really expensive. So just to hear of someone building a whole new nation is, very interesting to me.
But where exactly is this new nation? Croatia doesn't recognize the state and has prohibited access to the marshland, forcing Liberlanders to find a provisional capital elsewhere. Ark Village, Liberland is a village for displaced Liberlanders 3 kilometers from their actual country on Serbian territory. It's a privately run holiday resort, but serves symbolically and practically as Liberland's outpost. Samuela has just arrived and is moving into one of the holiday cottages for the next few days.
Where's number 4? Number 4. This is my new home. Let's do the realistic part of the life.
A small break from traveling. Before Dubai, she was in Hong Kong, Vietnam, Bali, and Japan.
Let's have a new home.
Her official residence is in tax-friendly Georgia. But this weekend, she wants to join the celebrations for the 10th anniversary of Liberland.
It will be a mess now. There's Mr. Cat. I come originally from the Czech Republic. Mr. Cat comes from Dubai. To me, maybe Czech Republic is too bureaucratic. And when I compare it to, Liberland ideas, it's a monarchy with a limited government. And also Georgia is as well very low bureaucratic country. So that's what made me stay. I pay legally my 1% tax. And in Liberland, I would pay a voluntary tax. So that's even better.
Life in Liberland is informal.
What a beautiful life.
Samuela is personally welcomed by the Interior Minister. Ivan Perner, a controversial Croatian politician, was once left-leaning, then moved further and further to the right.
This is our private lake. Zero taxes.
He's considered a populist and troublemaker in Croatia and has since withdrawn from politics. He's a fan of Liberland's president.
For the first time in my life, I was on a jet ski on the Danube River with President Jedlička. He also has a speedboat and a ship. This man has money. He doesn't say, "Give me money." He gives money.
Sagt nicht, gebe mir Geld. Gibt Geld.
Bitcoin strategist Navid Sabarin is also part of the inner circle. He's finance minister and is developing Liberland's national cryptocurrency.
It's a pretty outlandish idea. I mean, we don't start a new country every day. So even for myself, when I first heard about Liberland, I thought, wow, there's a very revolutionary idea, and who doesn't want to be part of building a new country?
It might look like a holiday camp for a few eccentrics, but the Liberlanders feel they're part of a global movement, experimenting with libertarian ideas and new societal models. This vision also fascinated American Tom Walls. A longtime libertarian activist, he's now Liberland's foreign affairs minister. He's traveled here from Florida.
I worked at the U.S. Embassy office, the Außenstelle, the US-Botschaft in Berlin in the 1990s. And I worked under Richard Holbrooke, who was the ambassador to Germany at the time. So after that, I came back to the United States and worked in the travel industry. But since I did have some diplomatic experience, Vit thought I would be a good addition to the team. So I became the United States representative for Liberland.
Liberland's followers include a vibrant mix of crypto enthusiasts, market radicals, and people disillusioned with the state. They're united by a desire for disruption and an escape from the welfare state with all its regulations and institutions. Vit Jedlička studied at Prague's University of Economics. He was once a politician with the Czech Party of Free Citizens. The idea for Liberland came from his frustration with domestic politics.
it didn't really matter if the right-wing or left-wing government was elected. They were all doing the same politics, and the right-wing were saying we're going to cut the taxes, and at the end they actually increased all of them, and the voters didn't care. So I could realize that we need something else than a traditional political change. We really need to build a new model.
Liberland wants to be a deregulated state with an unfettered market economy. But where does that leave democracy? Canadian historian and author Quinn Slobodian is an expert on libertarian movements. He came to Germany to give a lecture at the Free University of Berlin. In his book, Crack Up Capitalism, he describes how market radicals want to divide the world into micronations and tax-free zones, beyond democratic control.
For the most part, libertarians don't want to do away with the state. Most libertarians want to make the state smaller, to intervene in less of people's lives, and they prioritize, the important part, economic freedom, often even above political freedom. So it's not uncommon for libertarians to be quite skeptical about democracy, because they think that democracy is simply a way for the masses to extort the minority through the use of the ballot box. That has led to some smaller marginal parts of the libertarian community to indeed start dreaming of how they can escape or exit democratically governed countries altogether. So the second reason I think why libertarians tend to be skeptical of democracy as it exists is, in their mind, they see the legacy of the 1960s, especially in the civil rights movement in the United States, the movements for racial justice, for gender justice, and for social redistribution, as having distorted meritocracy. So they argue that the state, in adopting principles of what they would probably call wokeness or political correctness or progressiveness, is now rewarding people based on their identity rather than on their accomplishments or their talents.
Back to Serbia, to Ark Village, where Liberlanders are celebrating 10 years of their self-proclaimed state. The anniversary is a time to take stock. Where does Liberland stand today? And what's next for the supposedly freest state in the world?
I believe we had more than 250,000 people that signed up for citizenship. We had bigger immigration flow than the United States. Let's just think about the fact that we've got now 800,000, close to 800,000 people that applied for citizenship.
Joining the event online is former U.S. Congressman Ron Paul, an ultra-libertarian and key ideological father figure for Liberland.
The message of liberty is not complex, it's simple, and it solves all our problems, but that's not the way governments work, and that's why government is responsible for so many of our problems.
Architect Sergio Bianchi has traveled from Rome. He presents ideas for how flood-prone Liberland could be built in the future, with futuristic stilt houses, leaving space for nature and wildlife underneath. Liberland's financial power is reflected in its prime minister, crypto billionaire Justin Sun. He's invested tens of millions of US dollars in crypto projects linked to the Trump family, making him the largest known investor.
I see many shared values between what Liberland stands for and what we are building in blockchain space. There are over 300 million users counts on Trump blockchain, with over 18 billion in TVL in the system.
Delivering results and creating prosperity are among Liberland's core values. This is Italy's most successful YouTuber, Panda Boy. He has over 60 million subscribers and was immediately granted citizenship by the president. The banana on the car is a reference to a multi-million-dollar art investment by Prime Minister Justin Sun, which caused a stir in the global crypto and art scene. Liberlanders are proud of their wealthy leadership. The political spectrum is broad. right-wing populists meet freedom-loving dropouts. Many are interested in the Liberland passport, like Samuela's. The motto is Liberland First, echoing America First.
When Liberland started, so a lot of people were very skeptical, like, oh, you just make a show, it will be here for a day or two or for a year. And then with the years coming, I can see also, especially in the investor circles, how people get more, feel more accountability of Liberland and trust.
Liberland's flag was designed by Vit Jedlička, and there's already an anthem, composed by Varhan Bauer. Does he believe the state will get official recognition?
I hope so. I think it's going to be better.
Ark Village is a testing ground for Liberland's future. Here they experience, even if only for short periods, the kind of community they want to build. But Vit Jedlička needs more than partygoers and a symbolic government. He's looking for people who will live permanently in Liberland, because under the Montevideo Convention, a state needs a permanent population. A few residents at a nearby resort, coupled with an online community, isn't enough.
I can stand here on the street corner and say that I am the sovereign state of Quinn Slobodian, but that does not make it true. It requires recognition in the eyes of the law and the international community. And what they're still doing is a kind of rebellious dissident act against the existing set of international laws. But it also should make us ask what they're symptoms of, right? I mean, what does it mean that someone can cater to the interests and needs and market niches of the world's most wealthy mobile investors and get given a hearing, get given a gala, get given a sit down at the office?
Like their Prime Minister Justin's son, who tells Vit Jedlička in this video that he will soon have an audience with one of the most powerful men in the world, Donald Trump.
In May, I will come to see President Trump. I think his support for crypto, is phenomenal, and we will, I think, continue to see crypto grow in U.S.
Still, the problem of recognition as a state remains. President Jedlička continues to seek settlers. Anyone who lives in Liberland for more than 10 days becomes a citizen complete with passport. Colombian Hernando Carvalho plans to camp in Liberland and earn his passport. He's getting tips from an outdoor expert because the swampy terrain has its challenges and no infrastructure.
The big things that you have to worry about, for example, is water, as of course food, is heat, retaining heat. Yeah. And things that can help you with that, for example, is this thing called a live straw. You can literally suck out of a dirt puddle. Just like this, you can cut, you can step things open, like simple.
Thank you, my friend. I feel a little bit like in the Lord of the Rings, where you're giving me tools to face different struggles that I'm gonna meet. And
Hernando is a committed libertarian activist. He has ideas for various startups he wants to launch within the Liberland universe.
We want to be citizens of Liberland. So if you start being there, if you start doing projects, you can get the citizenship. You can start voting, start opening your companies in a libertarian environment, under libertarian morals. So to me, it's a long-term project of opening a company. It's just the first step, I think.
Hernando's journey to Liberland begins. There's no direct access from Serbia, so friends take him to Croatia. Hernando plans to keep a video diary and send us footage. But despite all the enthusiasm, there are doubts. How free is Liberland really? And how fair?
Crazy-tarians.
Das ist extrem viel Government oder Regierung.
There's a lot of government for a country that wants very little.
Opinions often diverge, and evenings are spent debating, do we need this, do we want this, and what about the suits? Will they come and actually sleep here? Take my friend over there. He's chosen to sleep in the dirt for a week to support the cause.
While settlers like Hernando head toward Liberland to camp in the swampy grounds, others prefer more social terrain. In the Middle East. The Crypto Polo Cup in Dubai. Vit Jedlička has just arrived at the $1,000 per ticket event, an exclusive networking event where the old financial elite meet the new crypto celebrities. Brock Pierce is among the most influential players. He invested early in digital currencies and made a fortune. Winning a supporter like him is a success for Liberland.
Great, good. No, nice to meet you. And Brock Pierce, you probably know Brock Pierce because he's got so many good ties with the president.
Bitcoin legend Michael Turpin is also here, revered as the godfather of crypto. With crypto-friendly laws, tax-free zones, and cutting-edge infrastructure, Dubai has become a pioneer for future technologies. Liberland wants to follow in its footsteps, but it's a rocky road. This ship was supposed to become Liberland's government headquarters until it burned under unclear circumstances. But committed Liberlanders won't be stopped. The 10th anniversary celebrations include a boat trip toward Liberland with President Jedlička, €999 per person. This group won't set foot in Liberland, though. The territory lies on the Croatian side, and relations remain tense.
Me personally, I'm not that welcomed in Croatia as well as other Liberlanders, but this is, I believe, a temporary misunderstanding.
An optimistic interpretation. He would actually be arrested if he entered Liberland. Croatia has banned him from entering. The country considers the founding of Liberland a violation of its territorial integrity. Why is Liberland so attractive to so many? For one, it's a meritocracy. The right to vote must be earned. They see this as fairer than the welfare state.
I think it's a voting because it's like on the blockchain and you have like basically a number. I'm not sure exactly how it works, but I think you can have votes depending on how many merits, which is the Liberland currency, you know, that.
But you can earn those by giving time and energy.
Exactly.
And I think people who are contributing either financially or with their blood, sweat, and tears all should have a voice.
In Liberland, the rule is those who invest more, whether money, time, or effort, should have more say. The fact that people with fewer resources hardly have a voice is not questioned.
People who aren't actually doing anything, contributing anything to society, are being rewarded simply for their status as citizens. These are all to them signs of both personal oppression and also economic inefficiency and economic low growth and lack of prosperity. And these micro-sites, these startup cities, these new islands out in the Pacific or the Caribbean are places that they project their imagination of a pure world without democracy. And the world on the internet also offers that possibility too. Bitcoin offers this vision of money without a central bank, money without trust, money without the ability to print more of it.
Berlin-based computer scientist, philosopher, and blogger Jürgen Goiter advises the Bundestag on the societal impact of digital technologies, including cryptocurrencies and libertarian experiments. He studied alternative state projects like Liberland and is critical. For Goiter, the welfare state and democracy may be cumbersome, but they're worth protecting.
Eigentlich hat man als Mensch in einer Demokratie einfach Stimmrecht.
In a democracy, every person has the right to vote. One person has one vote, and everyone has the same rights. That's important, because otherwise it favors those who have a lot of money or resources, allowing them to steer the state or system according to their needs, and those who don't have that become even more dependent than they already were. A meritocracy may sound attractive at first, like, sure, whoever does more should have more say. If you don't think about it, it sounds right. But if you do think about it, we have democratic values. You'll quickly see that this is deeply undemocratic and deeply hostile to humanity.
Liberlanders, of course, see it differently. They're convinced that their libertarian state will bring prosperity to everyone, including Serbia and Croatia. Vice President Bogi Wozniak proudly presents his connections to those he sees as pioneers and guarantors of libertarian success.
We were invited for the Mr. Trump inauguration as the 49th United States President. And at that time, I had the pleasure to shake hands with the President of Argentina, Mr. Javier Milei. You see, what the angle with the U.S. government and President Trump is because he's for crypto.
The Liberland anthem plays as the border police watches. The highlight of the trip. The President and First Lady couldn't be happier. Time to release the doves, with hope that their dream state will become reality despite all obstacles.
The concept of nation states is only really 250 years old. It's a modern idea. And if it's a modern idea, why would we not want to continue to modernize? Why would we not continue to innovate? To innovate and to create. And so the idea of a nation founded on this concept of liberty, or Liberland, is interesting. It brings forward-thinking individuals together.
To avoid trouble with the police, they step onto a sand island in the Danube, just off the shore of Liberland. Freedom. But how do the locals view their new rebellious libertarian neighbors? Settlers have been to this region before in search of freedom, a population known as the Danube Swabians. During the Habsburg era, they were deliberately recruited. They came to escape serfdom. Boris Masic is one of their descendants.
All
those people who were recruited to come here were first granted freedom. They immediately received building materials for their houses on the riverbank. They didn't have to serve in the military for 6 years. They paid no taxes for 6 years. Those were very good conditions for the people who came.
The Danube Swabians were lured into the region in hope of a better life. But instead of paradise, they found swamps that they had to make arable under the harshest conditions. The saying went, the first generation met death, the second hardship, only the third had bread. They became free farmers, but of course remained subjects of the Habsburg monarchy. And today, Boris Masic is critical of the state of Liberland. For him, it's not no man's land, but a place with history. He runs a museum in the town of Apatin, where he records the region's past. It's dedicated primarily to the Danube Swabians, who once traveled from Ulm or Regensburg to Apatin on the Ulmer Schachtel, named after its box shape. Boris Masic shows us a map that explains the border between Serbia and Croatia. Just 30 years ago, a bloody war raged here. Tensions remain high to this day. Where exactly is Liberland located along this border?
Da kann man auch diesen Teil von Liberland sehen, genau.
You can see this part of Liberland here. The Danube runs like this, and the border runs like this. And there's this section where the border is on the Croatian side, and that's the island that's so problematic. They're just taking advantage of the fact that these two countries are in dispute. They're exploiting it. And yes, if it brings us something good, then fine. But we'll have to see what happens in the future. You've seen how the Croatian police are reacting. They're watching very closely.
And Serbia?
Serbia's watching too, of course. But as long as it doesn't cause major problems, they'll tolerate it. The question is, for how long?
But isn't Liberland supposed to bring prosperity to the region? Become a Dubai on the Danube?
It's all nonsense that someone is profiting from. But ordinary people get nothing out of it. It's a fairy tale, a fantasy, an imaginary state.
A fairy tale for some, a vision of the future for others. In Dubai, Vit Jedlička, his girlfriend Jana, and her daughter are invited to a wedding at the legendary Burj Al Arab, a hotel of superlatives and a prestige project of the ruling family.
Mr. President and First Lady.
Vit Jedlička is no stranger here. He says Liberlanders like to gather here for important occasions.
Ladies and gentlemen, one more time, can we make some noise for our bride and groom, Arthur and Kathy?
The groom, Arthur Jakubowski, calls himself Liberland's ambassador. But if the Burj Al Arab is practically Liberland's home base, where does all the money come from?
Well, all the money is coming from the people that have made the money, and they appreciate the concept behind Liberland. Arthur is actually running one of the biggest crypto hedge funds on the planet.
The hedge fund targets very wealthy individuals and family offices. But Swiss regulators warn that the fund is not registered and lacks oversight from any recognized institution.
These 10 years have been truly the happiest of my life. I choose you as my beloved Cinderella.
Canadian-born Arthur Jakubowski knows how to exploit the financial freedoms of a globalized world. He lives in tax-friendly Dubai, and his investment fund is registered in the Cayman Islands. While they dance in Dubai back in distant Liberland, settlers have been keeping a video diary.
Hello guys, so we're about to start our way to Liberland. It's been many difficult days, but my friends decided to come with me last minute. Good adventure.
You wouldn't believe what kind of adventure I just had behind me.
First night.
I'm scared.
The luxury of the Burj Al Arab is just a dream for them.
I look like shit. I was home last night. We're here, like, it didn't rain or anything. No wild boars.
Just Croatian police, who they had to hide from.
Look at this. Well, I guess liberty is all about paying the cost of your actions and taking responsibility.
So it's become a kind of Cuba now for the libertarian community, where they all project their fantasies on it. They make it the kind of place that they want it to be, the same way young leftists might have dreamt about the People's Republic of China or Algeria in the 1960s. Now, in the 2010s and 20s, libertarians imagine Liberland as the way that they would like it to be.
Jürgen Goiter, a leading critic of radical libertarian ideas in the tech world, warns that dismantling bureaucracy and social protections purely for the sake of efficiency could bring serious social risks and a chilling effect on society.
Wir haben diese Regeln nicht, weil jemand sagte, lass uns mal mehr Gesetze erlassen, mir so lang.
We don't have these rules because someone said, I'm bored, let's make more laws. Something happened, there was a problem, and people tried to contain it. The world keeps turning, and sometimes you realize an idea you decided on in the past doesn't work anymore and needs revising. That's natural. But believing you can just wipe it all away and start fresh ignores the complexity of a world with, how many are we now? Over 8 billion people, where you have to balance lots of needs and protect lots of people.
Wo man sehr viele Menschen vielleicht auch in Schutz nehmen muss.
Back to Dubai, where Liberland has had a representative office since last year in the DMCC Free Zone, one of the largest free trade zones in the world.
Oh, that's a nice brochure.
A reception celebrates its 10th anniversary. Admission is free.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our Liberland representative office. And the key difference...
The reception offers a glimpse of what it's like to run a state like a business. Vit Jedlička and his ambassador Arthur Jakubowski are looking for investors.
They were interested in what we're doing in Apatin, which is a 12 million euro project. Liberland itself is open for business in a way, and people are living there right now.
We can do something together.
That's great.
I have one picture.
Sure, and let's stay in touch as well.
The audience is as diverse as Dubai's residents. While some revel in luxury, many migrant workers live under harsh conditions, with few rights and little protection.
How many countries in Europe you can travel in this passport? So currently the passport has, so we have ability to travel, just to give you some perspective. So my point is that it's beyond travel. It's a document that allows you to partake in all the benefits of a country that is the Singapore of Europe. In 1965, what was the Singapore passport? Nothing. Singapore was a mosquito-infested village. And today, it's one of the strongest passports in the world.
So how much would it cost to get citizenships and then go through the process?
It's 10,000 for an individual, or 20,000 per family.
The passport is mainly symbolic and not internationally recognized, a fact that is not clearly stated in the sales pitch. Kuram Parvez was born in Dubai, but as the son of foreign parents, he needs a visa that must be renewed every 2 years. Now he wants out.
It's a good option, you know, and you'll be very close to Liberland, especially if you invest in Apatin or we have around 70,000 euro investments now at Ark Village. We are building these new houses.
Kuram has already bought a Liberland passport. If he now buys a house, he believes he'll have a future in Europe.
I'm looking to be there in the future for my own better future, you know, because I have struggled a lot, you know, I've strived a lot, you know, but the outcome is like, you know, you keep on pushing, but there's no outcome.
But will citizenship of an unrecognized state really help? For his dream destination, Europe, the passport is certainly not enough. Dubai, a high-tech metropolis, dazzlingly staged for the world. But behind the glittering facade lies an authoritarian regime, which doesn't bother the libertarians. Back to Berlin with historian Quinn Slobodian. He's been invited to take part in a reading on financial markets. In his books, he analyzes how authoritarian states manage to become economically successful and how they become role models for certain actors.
Places like Hong Kong recall neoliberal templates for non-democratic capitalist governance.
He shares his opinions on Dubai.
the attractive thing about Dubai, I think, is it gives a model for techno-authoritarianism. It has no extradition treaties, so if you're being pursued for a crime, you can find refuge there. Very low taxes, access to the world as a central transport hub, and it's an offshore secrecy jurisdiction, so you can create a shell company inside of the Jebel Ali free trade zone. You can create a more legit company inside of the Dubai International Financial Center.
Are such states, which rely on unfettered capitalism, a threat to democracy? When he's not traveling, Vit Jedlička, the president of Liberland, lives in Prague. In the upscale Hradčiny district near the castle, still the power center of Czechia, is his office. What does he say to his critics? Does his fantasy state of Liberland come at the expense of ordinary people? And how does he justify the high price of a Liberland passport?
$10,000 is for somebody big money, but for somebody it's a golf course fee. In the United States, it's a traditional golf course fee for one season in the United States of America. So from the other perspective, there you see the huge difference between the prosperity. And yes, it's good to take care of your poor people and of people with disabilities, etc. But you would be much better off if that was not done through the state. It would be done through voluntary charities. Trust me, I know this. It works like that. People in wealthy countries with prosperity, which all these free countries are, they actually care about their poor people.
Liberland has not had to prove itself in reality. No one knows whether the promises of a freer and better life will come true. On the swampy no man's land between Croatia and Serbia, settlers like Hernando continue to stake out their dream state, hoping that in the end, their hardships will be rewarded.